If you have a side hustle in the gig economy, you know, these app-based side hustles, there's a lot of numbers that are given to you, but I feel like one of the biggest numbers that we pay attention to, I've done this stuff since 2015, folks, multiple marketplaces, most every single app and niche. Again, this is all I do. My name is Mike. I appreciate you being here. In this video, I'm going to help you target what numbers you should actually be recording because you're given these numbers, but how do you make sense if your side hustle is a good side hustle? The numbers are making sense versus other options, and which numbers are important come tax time as well, expenses and more. I'm going to show you all of that in this video. I appreciate you being here. So here's what we're going to do. In this video, I have all this data from a week's worth of Uber driving. I'm going to go deep on this, a deep dive with you over these analytics, what numbers you should be recording, and even more so than just the numbers, how my strategy comes into play before I even get these numbers and after I get these numbers to maximize your income. And this is exactly what you're going to do to maximize your income as well. Again, if this is the first time that you and I are meeting, my name is Mike. I'm coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You know, I sat around on the weekends, wasn't really doing anything. When I would do something on the weekends, a lot of the times you're spending money, right? And you're like, you know what? I'm spending a lot of money here, which is fine. It's nice to go out and have fun, but having a side hustle allows you to still go have that fun or pay off a credit card or save up for a vacation or a big purchase and have some leeway and be in charge of your income. So 2015, I'm like, hey, let me look into this side hustle stuff, starting with Uber and Lyft, food delivery shortly thereafter, and again, most every single app and niche since then. So I encourage you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Now, this spreadsheet, a variant of this, is provided for free for you on your drivermike.com. Again, this is for free on your drivermike.com. You'll see this one is tailored to EV driving, just because I was using an EV, obviously, for this week's worth of Uber driving, but this still is very pertinent to you. You're going to want to watch this. Doesn't matter if it's a gas or an EV vehicle. So here's what we're going to do in this deep dive together. Let's look at some of this data and to understand how this is going to maximize your income. I appreciate you being here, folks. I see you in the stream today, or if you're watching in the replay, comment down below where you're watching from and where you're working from, what marketplace, and also answer this down below in the comments for me. What's your favorite side hustle right now going into 2023, or your prediction for the best side hustle in 2023? So this spreadsheet, again, provided on your drivermike.com, as well as earnings boosting courses and more. So let's look at the left column here. Okay, clearly it's the day record, right? Now, if this was a longitudinal spreadsheet, as in like, I'm going to be doing this for a couple of months, chances are you're going to be doing this for more than like a couple of weeks. Maybe you are, which is fine. But if you're doing this for more than a month, then just simply put the dates, right? I was just referencing 1 week for my purposes. Just put the date, November 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and we're going to go down this column right here. Okay. Now, the reason the days matter because you can do a lot with this data, folks. Okay, next column right here. Let's look at the shift times. So what are we noticing about this shift time? And you're going to use this data to understand when's the best time to drive. So this was Uber driving. This was Rideshare. This works for any app, folks, as the title says. So let's look here. So day one, 4:50 p.m. until 9:50 p.m. Little short break there. 10:15 p.m. until late night. A little bit later, I should say, at least. 10:52 p.m. So answer this down below in the comments, or think this to yourself. If I'm doing, you need to answer this question. Rideshare, right? Uber or Lyft, transporting passengers. When's the best day and time to drive? Now, does that change with food delivery? Why would it change with food delivery? If it does change, think about that. Well, what about parcel delivery with Amazon Flex? If you know how Amazon Flex works and their shift scheduled times, they're scheduling shifts at a certain window, usually starting at, let's say, 3, 4 p.m. in your marketplace. So that's only going to be for afternoon and evening shifts with Amazon Flex. Well, what about Walmart Spark? I got to do grocery drop-offs, Sam's Club drop-offs. Here's how we're going to pay attention to time. So with rideshare in this shift column, if I'm seeing, and you'll see this pattern here, let's look at Tuesday, right? Going down 5:35 p.m. Wednesday, I went online 5:45 p.m. And then a little bit later, 8:30 respectively, 9:20 p.m. Now, as we go on this shift here, I need you to pay attention to the correlation of the income to the time and the day. Now, when you're doing this spreadsheet for yourself, again, it's going to be more longitudinal. So you're going to have more than a week's worth of data. The more data, the better. Okay. So let's look at hours online. Let's go to our next column here. Now, just to give you some perspective on this, even data from arguably the most popular side hustle, DoorDash, and their DoorDash Dashers, the company says, DoorDash says the average Dasher is dashing 4 hours a week. Comment in the live chat or the comment section, how much time do you have for your side hustle? Comment that down below in the comments or the live chat, because DoorDash is saying, 4 hours on average. If you got a busy family, you got a lot of stuff going on, a social life, what have you, you're not necessarily putting in, 20, 25 extra hours a week. If you are, I respect the side hustle. Now, here's what I look at with hours online. And I just converted that to a numeric value here based on the hours and the minutes to that column to the left. So if you look here, the hourly time online, and this is time online, by the way. So let's make that distinction here. When we're talking about your time invested for your side hustle, there's two things when it comes to taxable business miles and time versus commuting, driving, repositioning time. Now, caveat with that, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax professional, so this is not legal, professional, or tax advice, but this data is when I'm online, when I'm intending to do business. So look at Monday, 5 hours and 37 minutes. I could have been in my car for, let's say, 6 hours, but maybe I paused, let's say a dash. Okay, if you're on DoorDash, you paused your dash. You have 35 minutes to pause your dash until you're booted off the shift. Now, that extra 23 minutes could have been driving back to my place for a bathroom break. It could be going offline to get some Wendy's and just eating some food really quickly because I'm super hungry during the shift and I needed to take a break. Okay. So think about that. Now, if you're a DoorDash Dasher, a great way, and you can document this too. So you can have a separate column. You can again, download the spreadsheet, your drivermike.com. You can just add a column here. So we would just add a column, right there. And you could say hours online, and you could have a column, you could rename this to, let's say, hours worked. And the distinction there is to make sure you're not wasting time. Because when it does come to taxes, your business mileage is correlated to your business time. Because when you're driving that vehicle, because a lot of these are, app-based and vehicle-based, if you're using a scooter, moped, motorcycle, the same thing, right? You're operating on a platform for business. So those miles and that time is business time. Versus once you go offline and once you are no longer intending to do business, because I told you what, I'm intending to go back to here for a bathroom break. I am intending to go to Wendy's and get some food. I have no intention of taking a rideshare passenger or a food delivery assignment. That's no longer business time in the eyes of tax purposes and those miles. So consider that. Now, another way that I would look at this column for hours online is I would start to understand how much time am I investing in my side hustle on average. And the nice thing about this spreadsheet in particular is we have a column for averages. So right here during last week, I averaged 4.88 hours a day. So that's a pretty good side hustle. I'm investing just about 5 hours a day. And the total column here at the bottom, almost 30 hours for the week. So what you can do here is really play with these numbers. You can line chart this. So you can say, okay, here's all of my Mondays, and you can correspond that with the data point for all of the hours online for the Mondays. You can sort the spreadsheet by Mondays. You can take that data point for the hours online for Mondays, and you can start to understand, well, when am I driving the most or working the most? Is that correlating to more income? Or should I be investing more time? Like, why am I driving so much on Monday? I should drive a little bit less and invest that time somewhere else. Now, again, you can plot that on a line graph, okay, based on the day of the week. And then this column right here, the hours online, to plot how much time you're spending per day. But here's something else you can do just at a glance. So let's move over here to gross revenue. So here is the gross revenue is my take-home pay for that day's shift. Because again, these rows are corresponding to certain days of my shift. Now, here's how I look at gross revenue. So I need to understand, again, we can go even more macro with these numbers here to line charts. Okay, are Mondays bringing me the most revenue? Same kind of thing. I'd plot all my data points for Monday, my income. I could average out all my Mondays for my gross revenue. And then our next column, even gross revenue per hour, breaks it down a little bit cleaner, I feel like, into the gross revenue per hour by day. But take a look here. Imagine this as a line graph, if we will. So you have 186 on the line graph, and then we dip down a bit right here for that Tuesday. Okay, 139 for that day. We go up to 178, slightly down to 161, and then we really spike up to 289 in a day, and we had a fantastic Saturday here, $485. Now, while you're doing this analysis, here's what I want you to understand is we're going to correspond the earnings to the day to help us understand when's the best time to drive. But you also need to understand, was there anything on that specific day that might have caused this exceptional pay? So here's what I would do. If you want to do this again on the macro, kind of a longitudinal analysis, is if any of these days, and again, we will rename this to, I think it was October 30th or whatever it was for last week for this Saturday. So it was October 29th, okay, for last Saturday at the time of filming this video. I would even put an asterisk on that date, and I would write myself a note. Or if your software like this, Mac Numbers or Microsoft Excel, whatever you're using, there's comment features. So the comment feature for Numbers is right up here on the top. I can write a comment on that day and a note to myself, Halloween weekend. Okay. Or in a couple of weeks, we have New Year's Eve. Or in less weeks, we have Black Friday. So you may be doing a lot of runs for just shopping gigs. That could be a good time to take some runs for non-food delivery. You know, maybe some of those packages. Amazon Flex might be, well, it will be, I'll tell you this, Amazon Flex will be massive on those Black Friday weeks, making those deliveries. So if that's something you want to do, I hope this is making sense. Comment in the live chat or the comments down below if this is making sense, let me know. Just put a thumbs up or say, hey, Mike, this makes sense. So reiterate that, put a comment, put an asterisk to help you understand how did I do 485? Because if you do line chart this, just by day, and again, we'll see 186, it drops, and then it just spikes up on the weekend. Why? That's the question you have to answer. Why and how did I just crush it? Going on to the next column here, gross revenue per hour. How did I absolutely crush it on these days? Let's look at the gross revenue per hour. Now, the gross revenue per hour is going to help you understand your earnings per hour, of course. Now, this says gross revenue per hour because this is before any expenses. This is just the cash that's going to show in your DoorDash app, the money that's going to show in your Uber driver app. This is what they're going to deposit into your bank account. But just keep in mind, it's technically gross revenue. You have to pay taxes on that, and you're going to have some expenses as well. So that's why we call it gross revenue. But the gross revenue per hour, it's simple here. We can see the equation at the bottom. Let me get out of the way there. Just our gross revenue divided by the numbers online. That's why we had that numeric value to easily make that distinction. So 33 an hour, fantastic. My goal for you is $25 an hour. And do me a favor, comment in the live chat or the comments down below. What are you averaging per hour on, let's say, overall, or your favorite side hustle? It's up to you, but comment that in the live chat or the comments down below. And here's the thing, Here's the thing. If you don't know, and this is why you got to watch this training right now, because if you can't answer that question, dude, I don't really know what my average side hustle or favorite side hustle income is. This is why you need to track it. Because folks, if you are just getting into this, you may be thinking, well, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing fine, but the numbers don't lie. The numbers they will tell you exactly what's really going on. So this Wednesday, $39, $48, and that Saturday that I told you we just crushed it, $92 an hour. So the way that we do this, let me give you some tips on how to maximize side hustle income. And again, this pertains to any side hustle. So this is going to help you out regardless of what side hustle that you do. So when I'm deciding which side hustle to do, and I'm activated on most every single major side hustle, from TaskRabbit to Instacart, Shipt, Uber, DoorDash, Winolo, Field Agent, Amazon Flex, Walmart Spark, just about every one of them. So when I go out there to work, because I have limited time just like you, number one, who's offering bonus pay? That is huge. Who is offering bonus pay? Because everyone's basically offering flat base pay. So the apps are going to say, well, you're going to earn a minimum. It could be an hourly minimum on GoPuff, for example. They'll pay you an hourly minimum. It's not a lot. It's like $9 an hour here in Pittsburgh because they rely on you to get tips. It could be Amazon Flex. Did you know Amazon Flex minimum pay per hour is $15? Listen, I don't want you to drive, load, unload, and deliver packages, envelopes on Amazon Flex for $15 an hour. All right, I'm here to help you. I'm going to say that's a raw deal. I wouldn't do it. So who's offering bonus pay? We want bonus pay that's clearly going to maximize our income. So what could that be? So Amazon Flex offers that bonus pay closer to the shift start time. Okay, well, DoorDash is offering pay insofar as per delivery bonuses called peak pay or challenges, batched bonuses. And then Uber and Uber Eats have similar things. They have Surge, they have Boost Plus, which is their per ride bonus. They have Quests, which is their batched bonus. There's Shipt and Instacart, which has, I think they just call it promo pay, I believe, on Shipt. And then there's surge pricing on Instacart as well. So secondly, I would think, okay, who's offering bonus pay? How good is it? And then it's second, but I would think, okay, what's the workload for that bonus pay and is it worth it? To give you an example, if Amazon Flex is paying, let's say $22 an hour, because that's a fair number that they usually offer here in Pittsburgh. So if I'm signing up closer to the shift start time, $22 an hour, it's a 3 to 4 hour shift. That's how they do it on Amazon Flex. Unloading those packages, well, loading them first into my car, envelopes, packages, the boxes, and then delivering it on a predetermined route to about 30 to 45 stops, depending on your shift start time. I would think, is that workload worth $22 an hour? Because yeah, there's bonus pay. Mike said look for bonus pay, but can I make $22 an hour or more elsewhere? That's what I would think about. Because if you can make more than $22 an hour doing a different side hustle that is easier, then I would go for that one. I hope that makes sense. Comment down below if it does. Now, if you're looking at, remember I mentioned online time versus business time. One of our team members, viewers, Ellen, asks, do you go by dash time or active time? Oh, this is on DoorDash, obviously. So if you're on DoorDash, you'll see in your app, there's the dash time and there's active time. Dash time is when you're online, but you could just be waiting for a request. Active time is when you actually have an assignment. Boom, as soon as you get that request, you hit accept. Now it's active time. So by the numbers, I would always go by dash time because your dash time is still business time. Because we're online intending to do business. So it counts as business time. And the reason it counts, because I'm using my time. I could be doing so many other things, right? You could be doing other things other than watching this video, but you're investing in your learning, which is good. And I pretty much guarantee you that you're going to make more money than others that don't learn this stuff. So congrats to you. This is good that you're learning this. So for Ellen and others, yeah, when you're calculating your gross revenue divided by, in this case, your dash time or just your overall time online. Because otherwise you're going to get a little bit better number than you're actually getting. So finally, when it comes to gross revenue per hour, we talked about who's offering bonus pay and then the workload for that bonus pay. And then thirdly, I'm looking at trend analysis. So looking at my data here, okay, remember the notes that we put in there, the asterisks and the notes for any outlier days, because, with data points, there's always some outliers on data points. So we understand why there's outliers on data points. Then I'm looking at the solid trend analysis because, again, I could be doing so many other things and I'm investing my time. How am I going to invest it most wisely? So that means, okay, well, based on the data, yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday are probably pretty good for food delivery or rideshare. So I'm going to drive those days. Or if I'm only free in the AM, well, food delivery is kind of dead in the AM because only Starbucks, McDonald's, and Dunkin' are open for the breakfast, man. There's nothing else open at like 5, 6 a.m. But rideshare might be very popular because that's when everyone's taking those first flights out and they got to be there early. So think about that. Let's move on. Trips completed. And folks, I hope you're getting value in this video. Definitely drop a like. Appreciate you being here. Again, this is all I do. I help you make money in different side hustles since 2015. Drop a like on this video and also check the first link down below in the description for our team storefront. That is an affiliate storefront for the best accessories for any side hustle that is tried, true, vetted stuff there. So definitely check it out. Lots of value there, especially with Black Friday. Look for new deals updated constantly as we approach Black Friday deals. Okay, trips completed. I get what trips completed means, man, but here's the thing, okay? We'll look at trips completed in tandem with trips per hour. So by the day, here's the trips that I did during that shift. Remember, it's also correlated with how many hours. Clearly, the more hours you do, the more trips or deliveries you're going to do. This even works with Shipt. It works with Walmart Spark. Flex, again, it's a set shift, so not as much with Flex, but it works with GoPuff. It works with most every single app that doesn't have a set route. And Amazon Flex is really the only one that really does that. It gives you a fixed amount of stops and one route to deliver on. Now, this trips per hour is so important. If you're listening to the background here, pay attention to this, rewatch this part if you need to, because there's only so many trips per hour you can do with your side hustle. Food delivery, rideshare, anything, Instacart, Spark, Roadie, all of this. And it is 2 to 4 trips per hour. Now that's going to depend on where am I working, where am I driving, the rural marketplaces, or the city central. Now I've done shifts with my friend Jess, and she's a little bit out of the city, about 25 minutes. Even 25 minutes out of the main center of your city is going to perform wildly different, I'm telling you, than the main dense, populous, jammed with hot spots and power strips of your city central. So usually you're going to have less trips per hour. So look here, and the data supports it. 2 to 4 trips per hour. This is a great measurement because what's going to affect your trips per hour? It's going to be how busy is it? Obviously. We want to have about 3 to 4 trips if we can. Now, drive safely, work safely, never rush it. I've been rushed before. It does nothing but stress you out. It does not squeeze more orders, and safety is number one. So consider that. So could be weather that would slow you down. It could be traffic. So folks, I did my side hustle also when I was in San Diego, California. I was there for 3.5 years. And I knew, and this is why you got to learn your marketplace. When does your marketplace get jammed? Yes, it's that morning commute and it's like the post-rush work commute, but maybe not. Now, how do you skirt that? Yeah, back roads, side roads, or if I see a request, and I learned this a lot in San Diego because I wasn't as familiar with that infrastructure, is I would get a request. I'd have to jump on the 5 or whatever it was, and I had to estimate, okay, it's rush hour from 3:30 until 6, 7 p.m. How long am I going to be sitting on that interstate? Even if I have to go one exit, is that worth it? Because these apps, they will give you an ETA. Okay. The food delivery, the rideshare, even shopping, you have to understand how long is it going to take me to actually get to that grocery store if I'm doing Shipt or Instacart. So the apps, listen to this, they will consider real world factors. The apps will consider traffic, time of day, weather, but I will tell you from experience, like doing this for as long as I have, thousands of trips and transactions, it's not as accurate as you in real life. So just consider that. Again, with trips per hour, 2 to 4 is your goal. And this is a good measure of, am I driving in the right zones? And am I choosing the best orders? And am I driving during the best times, skirting any issues, traffic, what have you? Let's move on. Hope you're getting value here. If you just tuned in or if you're rewatching, welcome back. We're going over the numbers for different side hustles. Fantastic question here. And if you want to watch it in the replay, comment down below. I want to answer your questions down there as well. But Philip asks, thanks for being here, how much more do you make doing rideshare versus food delivery? Philip, great question. Well, any side hustle, maximizing the income comes down to what? Like we talked about when deciding when to drive. Again, what are our measurements? Who's offering the bonus pay? And what day is it? Can I maximize my trips per hour? That's going to pay you the most. All right. So who is going to pay you more, rideshare or food delivery? You have to compare exactly that. Who's offering the bonus pay? How much bonus pay? But consider this. Rideshare, like Uber Boost Plus, it could be an extra $4, but that's $4 per trip, just like food delivery. But those rideshare rides can be a lot longer. So you're getting $4, but if you're going on a 30-minute trip, that boost is only offered for 2 hours. You can only fit, 4 trips, 30 trips, if you're taking, 4 30-minute trips, versus I can do a food delivery run, hopefully in like half the time, 15 minutes. So if DoorDash is offering $4, listen to this, it's a great example, folks. If DoorDash is offering, let's say $4 peak pay, but Uber or Lyft is offering a $4 per trip bonus, there's 2 completely different strategies. $4 on rideshare extra. Okay, it could be good, predictable money. It's solid, but I'm going to be ready. I might take some longer trips. Food delivery, I might be able to squeeze in a little bit more trips per hour. Again, that's a variable that we want to maximize. Now, here's the thing. If you have a per trip bonus, then it's your job to pick the right trips for you. So if you want to go for, let's say, the Boost Plus on Uber, you want to go with rideshare because that's what you're comfortable with, then during that Boost Plus time zone, I would try to take, obviously as short runs as possible to get another, 4. There's a lot that goes into it because remember, Uber and Lyft, they're also paying you based on time and distance. So that is why we say the pay per mile, which is actually a metric that we're coming up on here a little bit in the video on the training today. The pay per mile is really a measurement of efficiency. So the tips received, let's go over this. So again, this is a rideshare shift that I did last week for 29 hours. Check the card linked above. You want to watch that entire shift, 29 hours of driving, renting a Tesla just for Uber with the Uber and Hertz partnership to see how that went. But the tips that I received on this shift were a lot less, in my experience, than food delivery. So we're trying to answer this question, what's the best hustle? Who's going to pay me the most? It comes down to just literally math. It comes down to the math of who is paying me the most, because these apps will pay you in base pay that we talked about. They'll pay you in bonus pay. And then all of them really offer tips. Now there's some niches that don't have tips, like Amazon Flex, you can't get tips on warehouse runs. Again, this is why you're going to want to subscribe, because I keep you in the know of this so you don't make a mistake. And you're like, I thought I got tips on this thing. And then you don't realize there's tips. So definitely consider subscribing. But I got a lot less tips. I'm trying to remember the number. It was like 39% tip frequency. Like 39% of my passengers left me a tip. Versus when I calculate that on food delivery, it's at least 90%, if not 90. Because I've said, this is a hunch, comment down below if you agree or in the live chat, but it's that serotonin, like I got my food, I was getting hangry, but here she is here. You got like the light above their head, you know, like the angel sounds. Thank you for bringing my Kung Pao chicken or whatever it is. And they give you that nice tip versus like, you know, Rideshare. It's like, oh, thanks for the ride to work, you know. This is why you want to document your numbers. What I would also do, again, add the column, boom, right here, add column. And I would certainly do this to calculate tip frequency. So on each day, like look over here. For trips completed 14, I would add a column right here, add column that says tips received. And usually we do this. We just calculated the tip frequency percent on this shift, but I would say, okay, well, I probably got like 6 tips. So in the next column, tips received 6, next column, tip frequency, whatever that is. And then you can calculate your actual tip frequency. Moving on to business miles. So my goal for you is to get a lot higher than 39% tip frequency. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, folks, is on this shift that you're looking at over here for Rideshare, I didn't need tips because bonus pay just blew it out of the park. So remember that too. It all comes down to math. It really does. And then obviously you want to put in that workload for whatever the gig or app is. It just comes down to the math. The 3-part equation, base pay, bonus pay, tips. If tips are like 0, but bonus pay is 3x, then mathematically it still makes sense. Business miles. We talked about what qualifies for business miles. It's when you're online intending to do business. Now, as we get into this next part, again, as a disclaimer, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax professional. This is not meant to be legal or professional tax advice. I will start my driving with my zeroed out trip odometer. So just push the button, zero it out once you're going online. Then it's easy mileage tracking for that shift. You can also use apps, Stride, Mile IQ, not sponsored. If you want to do an app, it just detects when your phone's moving for a ride, basically. And then it says, hey, it asks you like, hey, is this a personal or a business ride? And you can use that as well. Whatever works for you. Stride, Mile IQ, Gridwise. Now, if you take a break like I did, just remember that. So what you can do is, okay, I'm driving for 3 hours, but then I want to drive 15. Well, hopefully you're not driving 15 minutes to your break zone. You're only driving like 2 or 3 miles to a bathroom break or a lunch or whatever. But just write down the odometer, and then you can calculate real quick. All right, I drove 50 miles, and then you can zero it out again, and then boom, there you go again. And then just add the miles at the end of the shift. Other than that, let's move on to the tax deduction and the pay per mile. Because remember, that pay per mile is a measure of business efficiency. Your tax deduction is an optional standard mileage deduction per the IRS. There's also an itemized deduction. You cannot take both. You can either do the standard mileage deduction or a itemized deduction. Again, not legal tax advice. I gotta say it. I know. Drop a like on this video if you appreciate the info so far, though. So what this does, if you look at the equation in the spreadsheet, it's just taking the previous column, the business miles, multiplied that by that year's mileage deduction. How do you find the mileage deduction per the IRS? Just Google search or go to the irs.gov and type in standard mileage deduction. There'll be a press release that says IRS has stated the business mileage standard deduction for 2023. So we should see that in the next month or so. So this year in 2022 was actually 58 cents per mile, if I'm remembering correctly, but was revised and increased to 62.5 cents per business mile. So let me get out of the way here. If you look again at the bottom, I can't zoom in on that part, but what it says is business miles times 0.625, or again, 62.5 cents for the end of 2022. That gives you your mileage deduction. Now, what does that mileage deduction entail? So 62.5 cents or whatever it is for 2023, it's the same thing. That's going to encompass the general operating cost of a vehicle. So it includes fuel costs, it includes depreciation, it includes insurance. It is in essence a catch-all, so you don't have to add everything together to calculate the actual, like you don't got to save all the gas receipts. You don't got to save all the repairs, because the repairs is included with this as well. You don't got to save all of that documentation for the entire year. All you have to do is come here to your spreadsheet, look at this total right here. So I drove 469 miles. Tax deduction would be $293.13. Boom, there you go. And you're going to include that in your filings come tax time. Again, talk to your CPA or tax professional. Now, option 2 is you do save all of those receipts. So you would save, yes, the receipts for gas, and you're going to have your mileage chart documentation as well. Repair, maintenance, the tires, car washes, count, your insurance, any supplies. And again, there's our Amazon team storefront. If you want to get some of those supplies, it's meant to save you a headache, make jobs easier. And trust me, these things are needed, like sick bags for rideshare drivers, grocery hooks for grocery workers, trunk organizers for basically everyone, cleaning supplies. That's all linked down below in our affiliate storefront. Check it out. But you'd save all those receipts. You'd compile it to your CPA or H&R Block or whoever, and you say, I want to go with the itemized deduction. And sometimes that allows you to have a bigger write-off than the standard mileage deduction. But that's up to you. Final time, I'm not a CPA or a tax professional, not legal or professional tax advice. That's how we do it, folks. Appreciate you being here. Drop a like on this video. I hope you're getting value in this training. A deep dive into side hustle income and data so you can really understand actually what's going on. So I hope this helps you out pertaining to really any gig side hustle. Pay per mile. So here our equation is simply the gross revenue for that day, or whatever you made for that day, right? DoorDash, go by the day, any of these apps. What did you make by that day divided by the miles? Simple. Now, I told you this is a measure of vehicle efficiency. What that means is I want as much money as possible, but I don't want to drive a lot, right? I want as much money as possible, but I want to drive as little as possible. It makes sense because a lot of these you're using your personal vehicle. So you and myself, when I'm using my vehicle, you are accelerating the depreciation of your vehicle. Clearly, you can clearly do 100 miles a day. You can do tens of thousands of extra miles a year with a side hustle. So consider that. Now, obviously, it's up to you how much you drive and whatnot. But to review, take your earnings divided by your business miles. We want $1.75 plus per mile. Why? Because remember that tax deduction, at least for 2022, 62.5 cents. So the IRS says it costs 62.5 cents per business mile to operate your vehicle. With respect to what you're paying for insurance, gas, repairs, everything, as a summary, that's what it costs. So if my costs are 62.5 cents, like if I'm making 75 cents a mile or $1 per mile, the actual by the books profit margin is very slim. So I'm in essence just taking the equity out of my vehicle. I'm not really making a profit. I'm just, in essence, getting my cash up front because I'm operating very close to a loss. And you could be operating at a loss by the books after taxes. Talk to your CPA. But if we want a gig business that's actually profitable by the books, I mean, we want a margin, right? It's gross revenue minus expenses equals net revenue before taxes. So look at this, $232 a mile, $338 a mile, $283 a mile. And folks, the reason I can get the solid pay on this shift is because of the bonus pay. I'll say it over and over again because my job is to help you make money. And I know these apps. I know what's going to make you the most money. It's not going to be base pay and tips. I guarantee you that. It's not just going to be the base pay plus the tips. It's really that bonus pay that brings you to that next level that you want to get. So the bonus pay is what allows you to get there. Now, the rest of these pertain to my EV charging. We're not going to really cover this. This just goes into obviously EV costs. But if you are driving an EV, this is good to see, just to see how much I'm charging, how much time I'm spending at a charger, the overall costs. Now, here's the thing. Remember this tax deduction that we talked about for business mileage? This was a rental vehicle. And doing some of my research, you cannot take a business mileage deduction on the rental vehicle. You might be able to take the rental cost as a line item for the business expense, but you can't take the expense and the mileage deduction. Now, this is a niche case. Again, not a CPA, not a tax professional, but consider that because I don't want you to double dip. The same thing with the itemized deduction and the standard mileage deduction. You cannot double dip on a standard mileage deduction and the itemized deduction. So what I want you to do, folks, this spreadsheet, our original spreadsheet, it doesn't include the charging data. It's on yourdrivermike.com. Hope that provides you value. If you did get value in this video, definitely let me know by dropping a like. I want to answer your questions though. Put that down below in the comments, what questions you had, and I hope this helps you out. Really understanding, all right, I'm making money, but am I actually making money by the books? So again, appreciate you being here. Consider subscribing. We'd love to have you a part of the team. This is all I do. I help you make money in different side hustles. And you can also click or tap the screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.